Hey everyone, my name is Arthur and welcome to this video in which I wanted to talk to you about the struggles that the person who has undiagnosed ADHD has to go through. Or at least in my experience, the struggles that I went through when I had undiagnosed ADHD and I didn't know about it. The ADHD has led me to make many mistakes in my teenage life that I regret to this day. It led me to abuse substances and it led me to basically spend 2 years of my life laying in bed playing video games. And I'm not even kidding, I was literally doing nothing because I had ADHD and depression combined, and if you have that, it is the worst combination that can happen to a man. Your ADHD makes you unable to focus on things, and your depression then gets worse because you cannot focus on things. And when your depression gets worse, you lose all the motivation for those things in the first place, and you don't even start doing them because you fear that you will be unable to focus and you will worsen your depression. So I literally spent all of my day in bed watching YouTube, only leaving bed when I wanted to pee or eat something, like literally. Until one day I have decided to change everything. I got really into self-improvement. I started journaling, exercising and meditating, and it was really helping. And it was really helpful for me. Like, I felt like this was something designed specifically for me. All those techniques, all those tricks that were helping people organize their lives, it was also helpful for me. I could focus more. I could basically find motivation to do exercise and do the right thing. But eventually I have hit the ceiling. Like, my life was very stabilized. It was definitely better than before, but still, because of my perfectionism, I couldn't really be satisfied with it. I knew I wanted something more from life, which I really didn't know what was at the time. But now I know that it's usually what I'm doing right now. It's doing those videos for you guys and doing them to help you not make my mistakes and to manage your ADHD better than I was managing it. Well, it was fine, but I've always felt somehow robbed of the things that other people could do. Like, for example, I have quit social media. I started journaling, meditating, exercising, and I was just so overwhelmed with everything that I was basically jealous of people that could sit and play without feeling guilty for it, because as soon as I sit in front of my computer to play games, I would feel so guilty. My brain was basically telling me that I'm a failure and that I'm somehow a bad person and that I'm wasting time, which is not a great way to drive your self-improvement journey. Your self-improvement journey should be driven by motivation and your desire to be better and to achieve your goals, and not by anxiety, not by scaring yourself into believing that you somehow will be in a rut. Don't do that. And I'm telling you, if you are a teenager and you are suspecting that you have ADHD, of course I'm not a doctor, but from my experience, if you suspect that you have ADHD, there is a good chance that you have it. And if you suspect that, you should be taking steps right now to battle it, because later it will be just harder for you. You should just right now take a journal, start journaling, meditating, exercising. By a rule of thumb, I think that if your mental health is good enough to do exercise, then start with exercise. If it's not good enough to leave your bed, then start with meditating, even 1 minute. It will definitely help you, even 1 minute a day. By the way, I really feel that ADHD, the inattentive type like mine, is definitely easier to manage when you are younger, because you have less responsibilities. You do not have to pay taxes, you do not have to earn a living for yourself. You simply live with your parents, and that is relatively easier than what you have to do when you are an adult. And when you are reaching adulthood, your ADHD becomes much worse. I think that worsens a lot is working memory, which is responsible for basically anything that you can hold in your brain in the actual moment you're in. So, like, when you're counting, this is your working memory. When you are thinking, this is also your working memory. When you are reading, it also goes to your working memory. When this is impaired, and I definitely think it was impaired in my case, I was reading a book and I couldn't understand what they were saying. Like, I would be thinking about something else, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm reading a book, and I couldn't remember anything of what I've just read. And I know it happens to everyone also, but it is not as frequent as with people with ADHD. Like, I could get this every paragraph, every sentence. It's just much more common in people with ADHD to be not able to read and understand what is being written. I did not have this problem when I was a kid, because I had way less things to manage and way less things to be focused on, that I could simply be focused on reading and consuming the books and really thinking about the books and not thinking about other things. So that definitely got worse for me when I became an adult. Reading became hard, or maybe the books became harder. So, the harder vocabulary that may be it, but it doesn't change that my understanding of the books became way worse. So yeah, I couldn't even count at some point. Like I was counting in my head and I was just forgetting the number that was just a second ago in my head. My mind was so foggy that I couldn't even hear my own thoughts because they were covered in all those clutter that was in my head. It was a garbage, basically. Yeah, like you could hear bees flying around there, like in my head. It was extremely, extremely difficult to manage. I really tried to focus, to be better and read, but I simply couldn't. That's why I started suspecting ADHD. And that's why I went to the psychiatrist and got diagnosed later. The next struggle I wanted to talk about and that really affected my life is definitely impulse spending. Like when I feel even a bit of sadness in my day, I really get this huge impulse to spend money, and I don't know why. Like literally buy anything, and I think that I will be happier, but I'm not. No matter what I buy, I'm not happier. This is really a trap. Your ADHD wants you to spend money. Your ADHD wants something, and it wants it now. And it won't be satisfied to wait. It will leave you with negative thoughts, with intrusive thoughts, with thinking that, or trying to rationalize your decision. Why should I buy this burger or something? So yeah, your ADHD is your worst enemy. At my worst, I definitely have some trouble falling asleep. I could lay for 2 hours. It was so hard to fall asleep because my mind would be racing, the racing thoughts, like I could not stop thinking for a moment. And it is really hard when your brain is so active. And my greatest ADHD weakness was group talking, like talking with people, because in general I was just forgetting what they were telling me, like their words would go into one of my ears and just go through the other. And group talking was even worse because I could not focus what the people were telling and to whom should I listen to. Which brings us to the next struggle, which is prioritizing attention. Like I will give you an example. Imagine that you are sitting in front of your desk, in front of your laptop, and you are opening a text editor to write a paper that is due for tomorrow. And your attention is all over the place. You cannot simply focus on the text editor and write. Your attention is everywhere. Like you can stare at the wall, you can hear the dog outside, which is at least at the same level of importance than the paper that is due for tomorrow. Like your brain cannot prioritize things. It was so freaking difficult for me to realize that, but once I realized that, it became a little easier to manage. Like you are staring at the paper, but the paper occupies the same amount of your brain as the dog outside. So basically you hear the dog, and it is as important to you as the paper. You cannot simply turn off your hearing and focus on one thing. You focus on everything that is around you. That's why it is important to create an environment for yourself without any distractions. You just have to sit and realize what is distracting you and get rid of it when you want to work. Combine that with the journaling, meditation, exercising, and you will be able to do at least some work, not everything, but some of it you may be able to do. Don't be too harsh on yourself, because living with ADHD is hard, but there are some tips and tricks that are able to help you manage and to do the things that you are supposed to do, that you want to do, your hobbies. But that is the topic for another video, and if you are interested in battling your ADHD and to actually winning against it, keep watching my channel, because I will definitely be uploading videos on how to battle ADHD, all those struggles, how I went about battling them, and how my condition got actually 2 times better than at the start of the therapy. Like right now I can simply focus on things and remember what I've been reading and learn things. Like right now I'm passionate about learning languages, which I may also do some videos about. Like learning languages has always been my passion, but I've gave it up due to depression for 2 years. But now I'm back to it, and I feel more happy than ever to teach you guys about the things that I did that have helped my ADHD, and teach you how you can live a better and satisfying life even when you have this condition, and even when you think that all you do is to battle it, you still can be happy. Thank you for watching.